Good evening, you're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. Oman 2040 Vision National Conference concludes its works after discussing various topics related to economic growth, investment, development plans. And during her participation in Oman 2040 Vision National Conference, President and CEO of Occidental Petroleum describes His Majesty the Sultan as the great leader in the world. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. Oman 2040 Vision National Conference concluded its works after discussing various topics related to economic growth, investment, development plans, as well as international practices related to human resources. The sessions of the conference focused on economy and its role in sustainable development. It reviewed the role of private sector in achieving Oman Vision 2040. It is worth mentioning that the vision was prepared with the participation of various bodies as well as the community. The vision takes into consideration future challenges and obstacles with the aim to overcome them and contribute in the development of various sectors in the country. President and Chief Executive Officer of Occidental Petroleum, Vicky Haloub, described His Majesty the Sultan as the great leader in the world. She expressed her utmost confidence that Oman Vision 2040 will achieve its goals and are inspired by the wise vision of His Majesty the Sultan. That came during the participation of Occidental Petroleum in the National Conference for the Oman 2040 Vision. Her Excellency Dr. Nomvyo Nokwi, Secretary General of Indian Ocean Rim Association, praised the Sultanate roles and efforts that are represented in Fishing Support Unit, which collects data about illegal fishing in the Indian Ocean. That came during her lecture at the National Defense College. She as well held the Sultanate role in the field of enabling and promotion of touristic sector and the promotion future of this type of investment. She also talked about the possibility of enabling a center designed for tourism resources, adding that the headquarters of this center will be in Muscat. She reviewed opportunities available in the region to strengthen cooperation in the field of economy, education, tourism, marine safety and security. BBH Group celebrated submitting the first package of administrative offices and store units in the Integrated Logistics City project in Al Rusail Industrial Estate. The project is built with modern style to be an extension of the Sultan's development in various sectors. More details in the following report by Saleh bin Khalfan Al-Rahbi.
BBH Group celebrated delivering the first package of warehouses, stores and administrative offices in the Integrated Logistics City project in Al Rusail Industrial Estate after completion of construction and equipment installation.
BBH Logistics City is an important addition to the logistics sector in Rusail or in the government of Muscat. It contains 24 warehouses, also labor accommodation for workers. We have currently 4,500 rooms and we are planning to increase it to 10,000.
During the event, Internet Service Agreement for all BBH projects was signed with Oman Broadband Company. BBH is the first integrated logistics city in Muscat Governorate with all facilities and services needed by investors. It has 24 warehouses on 1,000 meters of storage for various uses, administrative offices, meeting rooms, and a market catering for the requirements of residents. The investment cost of the project reached around 20 million Omani Riyals. The other units will be completed in the first half of this year. Currently, it has a capacity of more than 4,000 workers and will increase to 10,000 workers with future expansions of the project. For the Sultanate of Oman television, Saleh bin Khalfan Al-Rahbi, Muscat.
Sohar Port and Free Zone revealed the operational performance of the year 2018 as well as the growth witnessed by the port in the past 15 years. A number of new participation agreements were signed during the last year at the volume of commodities handled by the port weekly reached 1.2 million tons, with an increase by 14% compared to 2017. The number of ships coming into the port also rose by 12% to reach around 3,443. Still to come in our news bulletin. Rare footage of 4 armored tiger cubs playing and resting was captured by the hidden camera installed in the land of the Leopard National Park in the Russia's Far East region. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman Television. The registration for Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry Innovation Award 2019 will be closed by the coming Thursday. The award, in its second edition, aims to encourage and spread innovation culture in the Sultanate. It as well aims to enable Omani innovators to highlight their innovative activities and strengthen cooperation and partnership between the private sector and various academic and governmental sectors. The cooperation will be in the field of energy, health, food security, environment, information technology, transformation industry, tourism and logistics services. The Muscat municipality by the end of December 2018 issued 7,639 clearances, among which 3,562 for new buildings. The Wilaya of Asib topped on the list of the new clearances by 48%, followed by the Wilaya of Bosher and Dain al-Amrat by 20%. The licenses related to the new housing reached 83%, followed by the commercial usage by 9%, and industrial clearances stood at 3%. The Sultanate's total internet subscriptions, excluding active mobile subscriptions, surged by 20.6% to touch 423,000 by the end of December 2018. Up from 351,000 by the end of December 2017. Of this, fixed broadband internet connections, which have more than 256 kilobytes speed, increased by 20.8% to 421,000 by the end of December 2018, compared to the same period in 2017. The number of active mobile broadband Skype fell by 5.5% to 4.1 million by the end of December 2018 from 4.3 million subscribers by the end of December 2017. Total fixed telephone lines rose by 12% to 559,000 by the end of December 2018 from 497,700 subscribers by the end of December 2017. French President Emmanuel Macron arrived in Cairo today for talks with his Egyptian counterpart in a bid to boost ties with an important ally in the fight against terrorism, but also to encourage respect for human rights. Macron and his large delegation were greeted with an honor guard ceremony in the nation's capital as part of his 3-day trip to the Arab world's most populous nation. Rights groups and activists have urged France and other Western powers to halt weapons sales to Egypt, a major purchaser, until it shows importance on the way it treats its own citizens. But Macron dismissed using such pressure, saying it was important to respect Egypt's sovereignty and not to cut it off because that could drive it further into the arms of the West rivals, Russia and China, which El-Sisi has quoted. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov today said that the Syrian government has assured Moscow they would deal with the remaining terrorist nest in the northwestern Idlib province. Lavrov's commands came amid rising violations of the ceasefire in Syria, was negotiated by Turkey and Russia and in place since September. The de-escalation deal in Idlib province averted a Syrian government offensive on the armed opposition enclave, which is also home to nearly 3 million people. Earlier this month, members of the Al-Qaeda-linked Levant Liberation Committee took over control of Idlib and surrounding countryside. Lavrov was speaking to the supporters at the briefing in Moscow alongside visiting Kazakh counterpart Beybut Atmalov last week. Russia complained that Al-Qaeda-linked groups hold increasingly threatened its air base and urged Turkey to do more in rein in the militant in the enclave. The Syrian government has repeatedly threatened to launch an offensive to recapture Idlib province, while Turkey has complained that Damascus was trying to undermine the deal. Cape Town officials said they have controlled a fire that blazed overnight around the city's iconic Lion's Head Hill, injuring one man. Helicopters dropped water bombs to put out remaining patches of fire. The fire also affected Signal Hill and forced some road closures. No damage to the property had been reported. One man sleeping on the hill was burned. The Cape Town area remains a high alert because of hot, dry conditions and windy weather. With wing-shaped shells lined with irritants mother of pearl and producing the fibers of a rare and delicate sea silk, the noble pan shell claim one of the most emblematic species in the Mediterranean and the welfare of the marine environmental health. But the giant mollusk is under mortal threat for the plastic that has ravaged population since they identified along Spanish coast in 2016. More details in the following report.
At the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea, a tragedy's unfolding. A mass die-off of the noble pen shell clam, one of the largest mollusks in the world. A tiny parasite identified in 2016 has already decimated populations off Spain and Corsica, and since November's been attacking giant clams here in the Bay of Villefranche-sur-Mer.
There are very, very few alive. I've seen 200 or 300 dead clams. We can see that they have died recently because the inside is still clean and the shells haven't been damaged yet.
This diver's been photographing these distinctive wing-shaped shells for years. They're considered a barometer of the Med's health, can live for up to 45 years, and their shells absorb the physical and chemical properties of their environment.
For photographers, it's terrible. We're used to seeing these Mediterranean clams with magnificent colors found in the sand to take artistic photos and study their biology. So we should be concerned about this because it's really terrible to see all these clams die.
Olivier and Lidwine, like many divers around the Mediterranean, reported their findings to Nardo Vicente, a marine biologist who first raised the alarm about the parasite. He's convinced that other species will soon suffer the same fate.
Avec le changement climatique, avec le réchauffement des eaux,
with climate change, with the warming of the waters, there are germs in the sea, viruses and parasites lying dormant that are manifesting themselves with this temperature rise. And we can see that the parasite had the greatest impact this summer, when temperatures in the marine environment were persistently above 20 centigrade to a depth of 40 meters.
Dans le milieu marin, des températures supérieures à 20 degrés jusqu'à 40 mètres de profondeur.
Scientists are considering moving surviving clams to deeper waters to try to save them. But nature could also intervene. Nardo hopes that in some lagoons, parasite-resistant clams will survive and one day recolonize the Mediterranean.
A rare footage of 4 armored tiger cubs playing and resting in the Russian's Far East region has been released. The video, which was shot from mid-December 2018, was captured by the hidden camera trap installed in the land of the Leopards National Park in the Prinsky Krai. The 4 cubs are seen playing with each other throughout the day, and they are also captured in the early morning with their mother, who then leaves them for most of the day, probably go for hunting. The scientists say that the cubs were about 3 to 4 months old and that it was rare to catch such young tigers on a camera. They said usually it's not until the cubs start following their mothers and they are caught on the film. Now for the general weather forecast around the Sultanate. Clear skies will prevail over most of the governorates with chances of low clouds late at night and early morning. Over most of the coast, dust-raising winds are expected over the governorates of Dhofar and Worcester. Winds will be southeasterly light to moderate. Seas will be moderate with a maximum wave height of 2.25 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. Oman 2040 Vision National Conference concludes its works after discussing various topics related to economic growth, investment development plans. And during her participation in Oman 2040 Vision National Conference, President and CEO of Occidental Petroleum describes His Majesty the Sultan as the great leader in the world. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the studios and the newsroom, it's good night.